Hello and welcome back to another preview here on the Fulhamish YouTube channel. 3 heavy defeats in a row for Fulham. Can we put that right on Saturday as Bournemouth visit Craven Cottage? Going to be difficult though. Bournemouth had a terrific start to the season, currently 6th in the Premier League, so we're going to have our work cut out if we are to put any wrongs right on Saturday. Here to talk all things Cherries is Bournemouth blogger and podcaster Michael Dunne. Michael, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well. How are you, mate?
Yes, great to have you on, Michael. Thank you very much for taking part. Well, Michael, you must be confident of quite an easy win on Saturday.
I wouldn't go that far. We've had a good start to the season, but Bournemouth have always got a dodgy result in them. We lost 4-0 at Burnley not that long ago.
Yeah.
We drew at home to Southampton at the weekend, which is not a bad result overall, considering you get another point for it. But the fans really want that one because obviously it's local derby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we should be favourites for the game against you, but you know, I wouldn't count on us getting the 3 points.
I thought it was a mark of how far Bournemouth have come that the Southampton manager was saying that a point away at Bournemouth was a statement. I mean, look how times have changed.
Yeah, well, we've long had a bit of an inferiority complex about Southampton. We haven't played them much until recently, and the rivalry generally comes from our side of the New Forest. They're more interested in Portsmouth and their bitter rivalry with them. But I think for the fans here, it's very much been over the years. They've got much more attention in the local media. There's a lot of fans of Southampton who live in Bournemouth, which kind of sticks in the local fans' craw and that kind of thing. So, yeah, we're sort of slowly clawing our way above them, which I never thought would happen. I mean, even like 5-6 years ago, I didn't think it would happen. And now we're definitely the better team. But unfortunately, we play them. We never seem to be able to beat them.
Well, I can certainly testify to that with our slightly more illustrious neighbours up the road as well. Bournemouth's attacking lineup has been well spoken about this year. Obviously got Josh King, Callum Wilson up front, and youngsters David Brooks is doing so well for you. You look very, very lethal going forward.
When it clicks, it's fantastic. They were stifled on Saturday. Mark Hughes did his usual tactic of just stopping the other team playing in the hope of getting a point. But there have been games, obviously Watford away sticks out, where we've just roared into action. And those 3 that you mentioned, plus Ryan Fraser, have been really dangerous this year. And they've started the season really, really well. We don't have a striker that is banging the goals in. The goals are a bit more spread out. But yeah, I mean, we can't complain. We've scored a lot of goals. We've got a positive goal difference for once, which is nice. And we have kept a few clean sheets as well. So, yeah, I mean, things are looking good. We've got 17 points and it's, you know, the clocks haven't even changed yet. So, long may it last.
I mean, has this come as a surprise to you this season? It seems like during every pre-season, people tip Bournemouth to go down. And I wonder if that is just people looking at, I don't know, the size of the club and just thinking, oh, the bubble must be about to burst. Is this kind of start what Bournemouth fans thought was possible going into the season?
There's always a fair bit of optimism, or there has been in recent years going into each season. But until this year, the previous 3 seasons we've had in the Premier League, we've started slowly. And we've traditionally started slowly. Even the year we won the Championship, I think we were down to 15th after about 8 games. So, yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say we expected it, but you know what it's like at the start of the season. Everyone's optimistic, aren't they? I mean, unless things are absolutely terrible at your club.
Yeah.
So it's probably gone better than we would have expected. We want it to last. The thing about the small club, we are a small club. I mean, the ground only holds 11,000. Traditionally, we've been a League One club. We've had this meteoric rise. And we're perceived by any club, I think, probably even, I mean, I know you've been having a rough time, but a game at home to Bournemouth for any team, even if you're having a downturn in your fortunes like Fulham haven't recently, it looks like an opportunity to kickstart your season. And I think that's always, or generally, worked to our advantage, because although we have lost some, games that perhaps we should have got a draw or won, there's been other ones where we've been able to spring surprises because the opposition have just been that 5% off it because they thought, oh, well, it's only Bournemouth, we're bound to get something here, and it hasn't quite worked out. There's been a lot of surprises over the years, in the last maybe 6, 7, 8 years, but it'll only last whilst we've got the manager. I think if Eddie Howe leaves, we'll see a a rapid decline.
Fulham and Bournemouth haven't really played each other that much since the turn of the millennium at all. The one season that we had together in the Championship, though, you have some fairly happy memories. I remember going down to Vitality Stadium, Dean Court, it was known at the time, and it was a fairly desperate 2-0 defeat, but nothing was more depressing than the 5-1. That was quite something for Fulham fans. That was a tough one to take.
Yeah, that was possibly our best performance of the season. And it's, as you can imagine, the feelings on this side of things are completely different. It's very fondly remembered, that game. It was televised. I think it was on a Friday night. And a lot of fans went up and still talk about it now. What a great time they had up there. And, we had a thumping win with some really good goals. And that was probably around the time that we started to believe this really is on. We can actually get up into the Premier League. So, yeah, it's one that lives long and happily in the memory for us.
Have you been watching too much of Fulham this season? You'll have seen our defensive mishaps and how leaky we look at the back. Are you expecting Bournemouth to score plenty of goals this weekend? What kind of threat are you expecting from Fulham?
You've had a hard time. You've been struggling. I think the defeat at the weekend, that was, a relegation 6-pointer in October. And you went ahead. And from what I understand, tactics remained the same. There was no change in the way you were playing once you went ahead. And unfortunately for you, Cardiff came back into the game and took the points. I would expect us to go for it. We won't be pulling the Mark Hughes trick on you at Craven Cottage. We'll certainly be looking to get the points. But you've got some good players. It's obviously not clicking at the moment. But the forwards, Mitrovic, I really like him. Schürrle's obviously got a bit of pedigree. Sessegnon starred for you, I think. But then you've got other players like Callum Chambers seems to have gone missing a little bit. I think against Cardiff he seems to be out of position for one or two of the goals. So yeah, I think if you were betting on who was going to win the game, you bet on us. But it's different when it's your own team. I mean, unless you support Man City or somebody, you tend to be quite pessimistic about your chances before the kick-off. I certainly do.
We talked about your threats going forward, but who are the other players that really are key to the way that Bournemouth play? The one that's caught my eye this season has been Lerma in the middle of the park. He always looks really impressive, really tidy with the ball. You've also got some, good defenders, Nathan Ake, Kirk as well. Who are the players for you that really make this Bournemouth team tick?
I think Lerma's done well. He's only really just come into the team. He had Dan Gosling and Andrew Sermon keeping him out of the team for the first few games. He's come in and he's grown into the team, and he's the kind of midfield enforcer that we need. He plays a little bit deeper, and we've kind of been crying out for that over the years. Harry Arter, who played against you on Saturday, was playing that role, though he always played a bit further forward, but he moved on loan. I think there was something going on behind the scenes there that he had to be shipped out for a while. Ake would definitely be our best player if you were, looking at the starting 11 every week. He won the Player of the Season, all of the Player of the Season awards last year. The Player of the Month award, he won something like 7 out of the 9 awards. He's absolutely outstanding. I don't think we're going to hang on to him for very much longer. Hopefully, we'll keep him until the end of the season. So, yeah, with him in the team, I mean, he was largely part of the reason that we managed to avoid trouble last year, I think. So we went through a few dodgy spells, but he always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. I mean, the whole team have played really well. The goalkeeper, Begovic, he doesn't get a lot of plaudits, but I've been really impressed since he's come into the team. He seems to make everything that, he rarely makes a mistake. When there's goals against him, it's not really ever the finger being pointed at him. And then we've got Lewis Cook, young midfielder who's played 1 game for England in the midfield. He's still kind of a work in progress, but he's got an enormous amount of potential. I mean, the future's bright for Bournemouth as long as we can hang on to the players and the manager. So, yeah, hopefully they'll all perform on Saturday.
Finally, what is your prediction for the game? Stick your neck out.
I'm always a bit reluctant to predict, especially away games, and I'm always looking at a point. So I think I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
Perfect. Thank you very much for being on Fulhamish.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.
Come on, Fulham.